you want to handle? Okay, do I get sound? Is the sound there? Do you want to transition the video? What's it? It doesn't go here. Just go trans. That's all right. That's all right. It's just right here. Okay. And now that's broadcasting. Okay. Just want to welcome everybody tonight. We have a few little numbers tonight. The weather's not been that cooperative. It's I know there are some people that have stayed away due to the oncoming cold that the weatherman's been forecasting. So I just want to welcome you. I know all the faces in the room, and we're just going to skip the business part of the meeting as we are unable to do that due to lack of quorum. So I just want to welcome, I don't want to take too much time then, but I just want to do a little bit of sharing. Can you click on that so I can just click on the screen? Yep. And I'll just click it right past. And we'll just go to this. And these won't be in any particular, oh, I left the bottom one. My bad. Just wanted to remind people, Conference 2015 is in Barrie this year. There's a lot of neat things going on, but if you haven't had an opportunity, we're actually doing some online video interviews, and we've completed 2 out of the 4. Actually, there's 2 are online, 4, the other 2 are being worked on currently. But it's kind of neat because some of these speakers are from England and Salt Lake City and stuff like that. So you can actually go on the OGS website and you can watch these videos and see what the speakers are going on there. So there's lots of good things happening there. Again, I'd like to remind people that as an OGS member, you have access to the OGS webinars that happen once a month. I don't know if anybody's had an opportunity to use them. As well, our branch meetings here, they are streamed onto the internet, they are recorded, and they are accessible through our website. So if you miss the meeting or are unable to attend, you can watch the stream or you can join that way. So one thing I wanted to share tonight, and one of the goals I'd like to again, we are a genealogy group, and I want to make sure that we're staying focused to that. But we had an opportunity. I had an opportunity to speak with the chair of the Thorold Historical Society, Randy Barnes, and he loaned us this book, and it's St. Peter's Church, Thorold, St. Paul's Church in Port Robinson, St. John's Church in Thorold, and it's baptisms, confirmations, marriages, and burials from 1841 to 1862. Now, don't all rush the podium because I will fight for it. It is the original book. It's been duct taped to hold it together, but the actual pages inside are of the original handwriting, and it's really neat because they even recorded who. What's the term in the Catholic Church for? No, I've lost. Well, they've got all sorts of stuff in there. Breaking of bread, communion. Thank you. Just my brain didn't do it. But it's all handwritten, and the really neat thing is I have to give it back. Thorold loaned it to us so we could scan it. It has been scanned. It's already scanned. No, that is why we're talking about it right now. We have access to all sorts of neat things. Ron Chapman has been busy working at the Niagara Falls Museum. He's currently scanning tax rolls for the city of Niagara Falls for 1950. They've given him access to all these tax rolls, ledgers. They're huge. They probably take up half this desk, and he's got to take them all apart, and he's got to scan each one of them individually. He's also been given access, we've been given access to the original William Dalton diary pages. So we've scanned all them as well. As you know, they've been transcribed once. And, it's got some concerns. So what we wanted to do was to take the original documents and take the original book that was, and kind of bring out a better product. And that's in cooperation with the Niagara Falls Museum. And what's the other thing? Oh, we just got 1964 and 1965 of the Morrison Sons funeral home. Those are being indexed, though. Those get shipped out west. Susan Leach does them for us and then ships them back, and it gets put onto the website. So we've got the Dalton. We've got this book. We've got lots of access, and I actually took a tour of the Thorold Museum, and as you know, they need to move, and they have lots of these books that are just sitting there, and there's no backups, there's no copies of them. So we have the technology. We've offered we'll scan it, but I'm looking for somebody to index, because this would be a great resource to index and to get the names written down. That was the other thing. I was given a 1879 Lincoln and Wellens directory. It's not a Vernon's directory. It's just a directory of everybody who lived in the peninsula at that time. It doesn't say anything. It's just got a few business ads on the front of it, but the rest of it, it's just full of everybody. It's all typed, but of course it needs to be properly put into Excel and indexed. But the book is 2 years prior to the 81 census, so I thought that would be a really neat. And of course it says what they do and where they lived. So anybody who's got a hanking for some transcribing, I'm looking for volunteers, because we have all sorts of stuff. I didn't hear you right. I'm sorry. Perfect. Now we have 2 copies of it, and we should transcribe it because it's a great resource. So I'm just going to put this over here so I can keep a better eye on it, because I know a few of you are looking at it. Yeah, let's not say it. But To be quite honest with you, Greg, that's what I know about it. Here, Cheryl's a librarian. She can take good hand of it, and she hasn't seen it since 1983. So there we go. So there's lots of stuff that we have access to and are being given access to. The problem is we need people to transcribe it. We need this typed up into Excel, so we can make it available. You know what I mean? Because there's tons. Well, everybody knows. Somebody corrected me. I said 1% of all genealogy stuff is on the internet. Somebody got a little upset, and I said, okay, 2%. 2%. That's all you're going to get. But we know that there's just. I was in the Thorold Museum, and there was just stacks and stacks of books, of town minutes, tax rolls, just stacks of it. And on one shelf, the actual books, the big books, were literally just bending over with the weight of everything that was on top of them. And I'm like, okay, we need to digitize this stuff. I mean, what you do with the original, it's your, and then we give them a copy. So if you're interested in something like that, we can certainly set you up. Because it's digitized, you can do it from your home. We have the cloud, we have Dropbox, we can do all that kind of stuff. So I just wanted to share that with you. It's a great resource. What else is going on? Oh, Mark, I know you want to share. I'm not sure if everybody's aware, but I'll just lead in with this, and you can come on up. And I know Shirley, who is very trendy. You're trending. It's a new term. You'll get used to it. Trending. Trend?
Trend?
Yeah. Put ing behind it. Trending.
Trending.
Yeah, you're trending. That's it. It's a good thing. Shirley is on Facebook, which is very cool. And if people, yeah, you're trending.
I don't know what I'm doing on it, but I'm there, yeah.
That's okay. Most people don't either. Facebook is an amazing resource for genealogy. People don't realize it. OGS themselves, myself and Tyler, who's our membership coordinator, are part of the social media committee for all of OGS. We have an OGS group, the main Facebook group, and then all the branches. There's a lot of branches that are starting to develop their own groups as well. Niagara has a group. Lambton just went online with their group. Bruce and Gray. All the different counties are starting to come online with this with these Facebook groups, and it was really neat. I caught a comment the other day from somebody who come on and says, "Oh, I'm from Niagara," and they gave all their information, and somebody clear across the province jumped on and went, "Holy cow, you're my cousin." And that just spawned a whole conversation that nobody would ever have been able to do. So what Mark's going to explain is that, and you may have heard that Joe, our cemetery coordinator, and I have been after this cemetery out in Smithville, out past the Cards, the trailer store, I guess you want to call the place. Wonderful trailers inside. But there's a cemetery that we found out about when I went to the Dunnville Heritage, the Airport Heritage Museum event that I always go to every year. And so we've been working on this for 6 months, and lo and behold, we got on the property. The lady, it was landlocked. She wouldn't let us get on, and then she sold it to the Cards. So why don't you tell these folks about this cemetery?
So Joe and I got some information together, and we started with making a family tree to figure out who these people are. In our own records, in the Kimbo Cemetery, there's a little paragraph that I wanted to read you. It's just on our page 1, but this is the only reference that we've found so far. Yep. Sure. Is that better? Actually, it's better if I How's that? Is that better? Okay, there we go. In our Kimbo Cemetery, the first paragraph, it referenced the West Lincoln history of 1985, page 375, and I'll quote it. Across the highway on the south side in a farmer's field is an old cemetery where some early Negro settlers were buried. Mrs. Rinker tells of picking Lily of the Valley in the cemetery when she was a little girl. That's the only reference we have to it. But as Steve said, they've been out, they've got a couple of pictures, and then I started on the family tree. So I printed out a outline of the family, and it's the Halsteads. We're still working on who else is in the neighborhood, but I just wanted to share a few of the last names, because that way some people might be able to make a connection for me or spread the word that we're looking for these people. The Harrises, Joseph Halstead, his wife was Sarah Harris, and she was a loyalist. So it goes back to early 1800. They're all in the neighborhood. Halsteads, Brands, Jacksons, Millers. This is all in Grimsby South. Bernard's again. Carlisle's, and some of them even ended up going down to Michigan. But as I say, with Facebook and other medias, it's a great way to share what we have. The first reference, one of them is we have an 1876 atlas, and there's actually a cross on the south side of the highway, but the Kimbo cemetery is actually on the north side. So I've done all the land registries, and I'm trying to figure out who actually owned the property at the time, and that's ongoing. And I think that's about it. Yep. Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure what it's called in Smithville, where the land documents went from the registry office. Anytime you're looking for something there, I believe they have them all recorded now. Okay. You might be able to look at the physical documents there.
Excellent. Thank you. That's all I have, Steve. Yep. And that's at the train station?
West Lincoln train station, West Lincoln Archive. Yeah, it's the West Lincoln Archives. Here, I'll take it over here. I need it. Okay. Okay. Well, thank you, Mark. That's one of the things that we're trying to do is we're trying to get out to the different cemeteries that we haven't been to in forever and ever. Some of them, nobody's been on the grounds in 25 years. And some of them are in deplorable condition. And then we're finding out about them. I guess Joe just told me in the last couple of weeks that he may have stumbled across a couple more, but I think we're going to wait till spring to go out after them. I think Shirley just volunteered, because if you're calling me out, you're with me. You bring your shovel. Perfect. Perfect. Can I just for just a moment, I just need to get a show of hands, because there was some business part that I wanted to do earlier, and a few more people have come in, and thank you for coming in. If you're a member of the branch, can you just raise your hand just for a brief minute? I just need to get a quick count here. I think we got it. I think we're like 20 right on the button. Put your hand back up for a second. Somebody else do. Give me a count here. And I make 20. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to backtrack us just for a minute because I need to get this done. Can you click on this screen for me? For the folks at home, I do appreciate you just bearing for a few moments of time. We have a business section that we need to get through. Genealogy is a wonderful hobby. One day I'd really like to do it. Really? There's a lot, with a very busy branch, there's a lot of business that consumes a terrible amount of my time and the time of the executive. There's a couple things that need to be done. Normally in December, we have a vote for the new executive. That we were far below the quorum that we could do it. And we have to be legit in what we're doing. We just can't blow things through. It tends to upset people. But the first thing I need to just very quickly present to you is our bylaws. Our bylaws are currently 14 years old. They are out of date to the standards of what they are. They're pretty good in most sense, but there are a few things that need to be updated. And with bylaws, the executive has approved them. We have to bring them to the membership for approval. And really, they're minor changes, but normally we have a chair, a first chair, a second chair, a corresponding secretary, a secretary, and a treasurer. Well, unfortunately, the volunteer tree has died in a sense, and there's not as many volunteers as there once was before. The other thing is all those positions are actually in conflict with our parent organization's bylaws. So they don't have, their bylaws stipulate what we have to do, and the first chair and second chair and the corresponding secretary are not actual positions. So basically, the branch requires a chair, a vice chair, a secretary, a treasurer, and a past chair. That's obvious. These will constitute the elected committee. The term of these offices will be for 1 year. That remains. But the duration of office will be determined by the branch policies and procedures. Again, we don't have an overabundance of volunteers. I've been doing this position for 8 years. It's a long time. And I've been very lucky with a very supportive executive, but I don't plan to do this forever and a day. But if we put a time frame on these positions, then nobody wants to take them, and then we end up having these huge holes. I know executives out there that don't have chairs, vice chairs. You got a treasurer running a whole branch. You know what I mean? It's very difficult to fill these positions. So unfortunately, we got to take the timelines off. The other factor was our bylaws said that any official notice must go out in the newsletter. Well, we're still allowing the newsletter, but we're also allowing general email as well. We're just coming with the times. And the annual meeting of the branch shall be held before April 30th of each year. We're moving that simply because of weather. Look at tonight. Okay. Before, the other one was in January, which made it very difficult to do. And then again, the final one was publication in the branch newsletter or a general email notice will be considered to be written notice of an AGM or any official meeting. So these are actually the summary. These were printed in the August 2014 newsletter. I sent it out again in multiple emails. I think everybody just got sick of seeing these emails, but I had to make sure we're doing it. So I'm requesting a motion to approve the new bylaws. Thank you. And someone to second it. Morris. Oh, you have a question? Yeah. Can I get a seconder and then we can go into discussion? Diane, and then Morris, your discussion. Yes, sir. We are in the process, and we just actually, at our last executive meeting, I kind of put the screws down to the executive and said, everybody's policy, everybody's position is going to be rewritten before the AGM in March. So that it's an ongoing process. We haven't got that step, but we've got it moving forward. Yeah. Yes. Normally, the past chair is supposed to be responsible to lead a nominating committee. Yep. Yeah, we can. But the problem is, if you nail it down to one specific position, and then we don't have that position filled, then it's. Okay. Okay. No, and that's why we bring it to membership, to get opinions, because trust us, we've looked this way. I've been trying to get this done for 2 years. So no, I agree with you. Yes, Marilyn. Where? Marilyn, that's why you should have never left the executive. Thank you. Well, at least that's not part of the bylaws. I don't have to pass an amended motion on that. Nope, spring will do me fine. Yeah, that'll be after. So, yeah. May I just look at the notes again? Not that I don't have it memorized, but the executive committee controls the monies with a financial chair. Yep. Okay, with the financial chair, and again, that falls back to the PMP, where the treasurer, to the policies and procedures, that the treasurer of the branch is that financial chair. The policies and procedures says that the treasurer is the chair of the financial committee. Okay. Associate members are actually still part of OGS. They are grandfathered in. Yeah. Marilyn knows a lot about that. Okay. Okay. Thank you. All right. I'm going to put everybody else to shame. Who else read it? Morse is my hero. Okay. It was, yeah. I'm sorry. Just call it your name. Okay. So Morris, did you want to put an amendment to that nominee, or can we spell that out in the? Well, then when we rewrite the policies and procedures in concern to nomination, we will make sure that that is spelled out in that. Please do. Because even some of our policies and procedures are older than my children. So we're trying to get them updated too, and that's like going to a dentist. So, and who seconded that? I'm sorry, Diane, okay. Was there any other questions or concerns in concern to the new bylaws for the branch? If not, then all in favor of that motion? All in favor, hands up so I can see you. And,
Sorry, I can't because I can't hear.
okay,
I haven't been able to hear or see, so I can't.
okay, that's fine. That's fine. Just abstain. And is there anyone that's directly opposed? Then so carried. Thank you. Okay. Okay, very quickly, I just need to announce this to you. We've got this and one more, and I promise it'll be all over. And we'll get to the main reason why we're here tonight. And it's not me. The executive, now don't be doing that, making those kind of noises. The executive have passed this this policy, and some of you here in December have had a preliminary read of it. And I'll just read it out to those. The Niagara Peninsula Branch, OGS, recognizes that volunteers are among the most important assets in our nonprofit organization. Their countless hours of donated time and their passion and commitment are critical to the well-being of our organization. Their contribution is not quantified. It does not appear on the balance sheet, nor does it show up as an expenditure. The expectation is that all members, including executive members of the Niagara Peninsula Branch, will support and appreciate the efforts of the volunteers who serve this branch without discrimination based on race, nationality, or ethnic origin, color, religion, gender, age, sexual orientation, or mental or physical disability. Okay. Very briefly, why we passed this, okay? On an executive, it can be a tough role. Try to make other people happy. And I'm not going to give out names, and I'm not going to badger anybody. But there are people on this executive that have taken their fair share of beatings. And no more. As the chair of this branch, I will not allow volunteers to be torn down, sent bad emails, or anything like that. It will not be permitted, and each situation will be handled accordingly. We are a genealogy group. We just want to have fun. We want to chase dead people all day. You know, like, let's have some fun. But please know that as the chair of this branch, unless you decide 5 minutes from now I'm not chair, but the chair of this branch, I will not allow volunteers that just, you know, any of the volunteers, any of the members that donate hundreds of hours worth of time to be badgered. And that's my promise to this branch. And this is why we passed this. So that was it. I just wanted to give you a history of that. Thank you. So we're at this part. Tyler, are you able, or? I have it on my smartphone. Yeah, I put it right here. Unfortunately, I did not update it. So you just have to insert somebody's name. Yeah, insert name here. Please know that this is the first time in 8 years that I've been part of this branch, or 9 years. I've lost count now, Marilyn. You got to come back and tell me these things. Like, or somebody's got to tell me. We've had a full elected executive. And I've been very thankful. We had to pass the bylaws first in order for Mark to have a job in the position. So I'm very thankful for this. And Tyler, who is a director with OGS, a branch board liaison member, our membership coordinator, a man with more hats than a coat rack. Tyler, come on up, because I can't do this part. You got to do this part. He's just a nice guy. You got it? All right, so I can take my phone. All right, let me turn this on for you. You're there.
Okay, hi everyone. Sorry, you'll have to excuse my voice. My throat's been a little sore lately. As you see, it's now time for the 2015 branch elections. As you see on the PowerPoint screen, Steve Fulton is standing for branch chair. Mark Cripps is standing for vice chair. Sharon Stevens-Reese for branch secretary, and Tim Hardman for treasurer. I'm now going to open up the floor for nominations, and I'll ask 3 times for each position. Are there any other nominations for branch chair? Are there any other nominations for branch chair? Okay. At that, there are no other nominations. Final call. Steve Fulton is acclaimed branch chair. Are there any nominations for vice chair? Any nominations for vice chair? And do we have any final call? Any nominations for vice chair? Okay, at that, final call. Mr. Cripps is acclaimed vice chair. Congrats. Okay, branch secretary, are there any nominations for branch secretary? Any nominations for branch secretary? Final call, any nominations for branch secretary? Okay, Sharon Stevens-Reese, you're acclaimed branch secretary. Congrats. And finally, branch treasurer, the job I know everybody wants. Are there any nominations for branch treasurer? Any nominations for branch treasurer? Final call, are there any nominations for branch treasurer? Okay, Tim Hardman, you are acclaimed branch treasurer. Congrats.
Thank you.
And we are elected.
All right, thank you very much. It's a procedure we got to go through, important procedure, and I think I got everything that I wanted to share. Yep. But it's great to have people now supporting, because that was a big concern that I had, and I know a few people had, that it's been a long road. It's been a long 8 years, and trying to get people, the right people in the right positions, and dependable people. So we really appreciate, and I want to thank you. And before everybody, before the executive leave, please see me, as we have to deal with some banking concerns, as it is a new year. So, Diane, why don't you come on up? I know I didn't warn you, but that's all right. You like when I do things on the fly. No, Diane. She is Diana. Nice try. Come on up and introduce our wonderful speaker for the night. I'll get to the 50-50. They'll stick around longer. I keep the 50-50 to the end. And please, if you have not signed the guest book, before you leave, please do that. Our membership guy really likes to do that.
Okay, our special speaker tonight is Wilma Morrison. Pardon? Our special speaker tonight is Wilma Morrison. She was born in London, Ontario, of a Black family, and she's here for February, which is Black Month, Black History Month. Sorry. She's used to look after the church on Pierce Street, the Black church over there, and they used to have the house beside it used to be a little library. Well, I think she's kind of given that up now, so someone else is helping her out. So I'd like to welcome Wilma Morris.
lovely. Thank you very much. Do you think the reason most people didn't show up tonight was because I was coming to speak? Oh, okay. Just thought I'd check. Anyway, congratulations to your new executive. Or old, or whatever. Anyway, it's nice to be here. I have a few things that I want to say to start. The fact is that you're discussing cemeteries, and I wanted to compliment this organization in looking after the cemeteries, supposedly abandoned or what have you, cemeteries in the area. I know that there's a group who are in outside of Amherstburg. There's 2 cemeteries up that way. And about 15 years ago, I introduced them to the idea that you all had been instrumental in having 2 of the cemeteries in this area. I'm sure there are more, but certainly the Negro Burial Ground and the Colored Cemetery, the Negro Burial Ground in Niagara-on-the-Lake, and the Colored Cemetery in, well, it's just outside of Fort Erie. You all challenged the city, the towns, and the towns now maintain the cemeteries. And these people have been fighting for about the last 25 or so years. The church conference is paying for the maintenance of these cemeteries. So I challenged them to get in touch with the local genealogical society, but they just think I'm an old lady and I don't know very much. And so they'll keep paying, and that's too bad. I feel sorry for them. Now, I don't know what you would like me to talk about other than we've been hanging around for a while. I don't know if anyone has been watching the television presentation of the Book of Negroes. Yeah. Were there any questions that you had about it that you would like to ask me? No, and I wasn't one of those people who were running up here. I'm old, but not that old. Okay. Okay. Question? No? But that's the one problem that we seem to have in Canada. Every group of people who come into Canada, and we challenge them that they're taking jobs away from our people. And I always laugh and say, well, anyway, I know you don't want to hear my opinion of that. But the other thing is that stupid people are ever with us, and it's sad. Yeah, because prejudice against different people and yet at the same time, this wonderful country was built by so many people from all over our earthly place here. And I think, laughingly again, how much of it is being taught in the schools? It's still pretty much a British history, isn't it? Or American, if you. Mm-hmm. Is that right? Did you go to school in this area? Yeah, we learned quite a bit of it in Hamilton. There were, well, anyway, and I had this wonderful teacher in grade 7 who taught me so much. He's the one who turned me on to Canadian history. And we have this wonderful history, and it's still not being taught in the schools. Teachers are not being taught the history, so how can they teach it? Anyway, did you want to?
Go ahead.
Okay. Do you want me to go way back as to why we're here? Why? No. Okay, I'm the treasurer of our church, as I told you. Um, I don't know, I always say it was built in 1836. And contrary to popular opinion, I was not one of the founding members. But uh, most people think Black people came to Canada in 1970. I've been here since 1929, so I don't know. And my great-grandfather, I've just recently found, was born in Niagara-on-the-Lake in 1834. I don't know how he got there. One of these days, I'll get around to investigating that. I guess I better hurry up. Charles Smith. When I asked this lady, I called her, she works for the Brantford Expositor. And so I called her to compliment her on an article that she had written about our sister church in Brantford, the British Methodist Episcopal Church. And so she said, oh, well, I've become interested because I've been doing family histories of the Black people, some of the Black families, early Black families in Brantford. And I said, oh, wonderful. So I went on to tell her that I knew nothing of my grandmother. My grandmother died when she was just 24, and my mom was 4, and my aunt 2. So, you know, my granddad was a farmer. Do you really want to hear my family? My granddad was a farmer in Burford. And so, you know, he had to remarry right away to have these 2 little girls looked after. And then the lady he married, they went on to have more family. And so that my maternal grandmother's family were sort of largely forgotten. I did meet a couple of her brothers, but I didn't know what the relationship was. So anyway, I said to her, she said, oh, well, I could look up the information and get it to you. So she asked me to give her the names. And so I said, well, my grandmother, I'm not sure. She was called, oh dear Lord, I've forgotten what she was called. I think I thought her name was Eliza or something like that. Wasn't sure. And I said, and get this, I said, but she had a couple of brothers, I can tell you that. She had twin brothers, that was it. And I can tell you that, and their name, one's name was Arthur and the other's name was Archibald. So I said, and get this, their name was Smith. So anyway, she said, oh, okay. And I thought, well, I'll probably never hear from her again. And within 2 to 3 weeks, she had the family history all sorted out for me, which was great. It's the saddest thing was I don't have any family. Well, I have a niece and a nephew, and I passed it on to them. But you know, if only my mom had known anything about her family, her grandparents, and what have you. It was wonderful. Anyway, so yeah, we're Smiths. Charles Smith, and his son was Charles Smith. So yeah, I have everything pretty well done, except I don't have my either maternal or paternal grandmother's maiden names. And so I keep saying one of these times I'm going to get time and energy to trace them. But the computer and I are not the best of friends. I think it speaks French. I'm not sure. But anyway, it's been wonderful. And one of the other things that I want to thank you so much for, you have put records together and passed them on to us. So we've been able to, you know, I talked about the church. The church was only the beginning. Our church was about to be sold and torn down. And I decided that it was part of our history our history in the community. And once it was gone, and that's it. So we decided to embark, four of us decided on an idea that we would preserve it. And it's so interesting because I don't know if you know or not, but there's quite a few Black people in Niagara Falls, old Black families. And I guess I'll have to be introduced to them because, as Diane told you, I was from London. This guy that I was married to, who was supplying, I said it was, we had formed a corporation, and I called it the 3 V's. My husband was the banker. He didn't really volunteer for that task, but he was the banker because there certainly was no money there. And then there was this guy who used to insult me all the time about being old. And his name was Don Thomas, and he was from Nova Scotia. So London, Nova Scotia, my husband was from Collingwood. And then this lady attended one of our gatherings, and she had just arrived in the area from Toronto, and she made the mistake of asking if there's anything she could do for us. Yeah, she's still doing. So anyway, but initially we were the 3 V's. My husband was the banker, and Don was the builder, and I was the boss. So there. Anyway, we've had a wonderful time. We've been able to fix the church up. As I said, it was really getting ready to fall apart. And what we did was we put together a library. Our major goal was to have Black history taught in the schools in the area. And it hasn't worked up until now. But Canadian history isn't being taught in the schools up until now, which I find very sad. But anyway, it's been a wonderful journey. We've put together a library of Black history, 1,400 books for, by, and about Black people, and put together a lot of history from each of the various communities where Black people have settled from the early days on. Because I was getting along in years and didn't know what was going to take place with our collection, then we decided that we would challenge the libraries. We wanted it to go to Brock, but they didn't have space for it, and neither did Niagara College. So we asked the libraries around in the community, and the only one who could accommodate it was the St. Catharines Public Library, and they have kept it in good condition for us, and it's readily accessible, and they report to us that it's well used. That's the thing that makes me feel good. Someone else is looking after it. We also have, thanks to you all, a strong genealogical log, and we've been having family reunions. We've been able to put families together through the time that we've been working. So it's been wonderful. It's been a learning experience, but the feedback from the community, I have to admit that I was not all that happy when I first moved to Niagara Falls back in the olden days, 1960, I think it was. But I've changed my opinion about a lot because everyone has been so helpful to us. And we wouldn't have the church, we wouldn't have a lot of things, a lot of the information, if it hadn't been for the folks in the Niagara community. So I thank you once again for all of the things that you've done for us. Yes, ma'am. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it was it would have been at the corner, well, in the area of the corner of Allendale and Portage Road. Um, the spray from the falls used to blow up there and make it really tricky for the ladies to get up the hill in their long dresses. Well, you know, before they built all those wonderful hotels, those ugly things, the spray used to come down to your old church on Robinson Street. Yeah. So anyway, the people at the congregation cast about to buy another church or build another church, and our churches are notoriously poor. Ours still is, but anyway, we received this wonderful gift. I have to talk to you about Oliver Purnell, a man who came in the 1850s after the Second Fugitive Slave Act was passed in the United States. We had quite a large number of people, Black people, running into freedom in Canada. As you know, our Emancipation Act was passed August 1st, 1834. So, well, and in some places earlier, certainly in Upper Canada, it was earlier. But anyway, Oliver Purnell came, and he came across from Buffalo to Fort Erie. And our understanding, I'm not sure, is that he jumped in the river and swam the river with his little trunk. And landed in Fort Erie, and he was sent down to Niagara Falls to find work. He farmed for people all the years of his life, and but it was really important for people once they were free to own something. With Oliver, it was property, and he owned a number of properties in the area of Niagara Falls that was then known as Drummondville, and so he owned this property at the corner of Pierce Street and Lord, today I can't remember. Well, anyway, okay, Gray Street. I'm there every day. I should know. But anyway, he owned that property and the property next door. Now, the property next door he sold to an Italian family who built a cottage there, which is still there. And in 1890, it took a long time for us to find the date, but in 1890, he and his wife Matilda deeded the property at the corner of Gray and Pierce Street to the church. And it was rolled on logs to that site and has been resting there ever since. So we're ever grateful to Oliver and his wife Matilda for their wonderful gift for us. The congregation in 1924 were able to put together enough money to buy the cottage next door, and it was it was the residence of the minister at the time. Well, we can't afford a minister, let alone put him up. So I don't know. Right now, we have a group of young people who are running a drop-in center for ladies of the street and reformed users, drug users. So that's what we were doing up until now. And as I say, I'm stumbling along here, but I think I think most of you know much of the history. It's been published, and you know, if there are any questions, then perhaps you could ask me. Yes, my dear. I don't know about what's the things in St. Catherine's, but I know in our church I have maybe the first hydro bill, which was 1920. Those things I've set aside, but it's really strange how in all of the churches that you know, and I was familiar with the churches in the British Methodist Conference from my early days. You know, I knew that the pictures and what took place through the years, but they've been discarded. It's amazing how much stuff has disappeared out of the churches.
Supplementary to that, what about the Baptist, the old Baptist church in Niagara on the Lake? Was there any, have you found any records of that at all?
Not that I'm aware of. I don't know if the museum there has anything.
I've never found it.
You know, and I don't know where. I could talk to the other church that was put together near that time was the Zion Baptist Church here in St. Catherine, but I don't think that they have any records either.
You've never gone to Baptist Archives in Hamilton?
No, because I'm a Methodist, you know. I'm a Methodist.
Well, I know.
Don't
your
do it with
family
those
history now.
Baptists. No, it's just that I never have had the time, but the records, apparently the records are there. If we can just find someone to do some research. It's absolutely unbelievable that we can't find anyone to take over. We're wondering. So I guess I'll just have to turn up my toes and somebody will arrive. Anything else? Yes, sir.
Nobody else has any questions? I'm full of questions.
Oh, okay.
He's got a
What-
question right behind you. Morris first.
Go ahead.
I can't remember where I read this, but my recollection is that back 75, 80 years ago, there was a school with, and I think it was all black, and there were in St. Catharines, and my recollection is that they had 135, 140 pupils or something like that. The city would then have been much smaller than it is today.
Mhm.
So it would have been a more significant factor or portion of the population. But within our community today, do we have people who are black whose families have been here for, say, over 100 years? Or
I guess, yeah.
we do, eh?
Yeah. The schools in the school you were speaking of, in 1850, because you all in St. Catharines, white people in St. Catharines didn't want to attend school with black children. And so the Common Schools Act was passed in Toronto that would establish separate schools for blacks and whites. I guess in the early days, they started the separate schools. Most of the black schools would have been in the black churches in the community. And then I guess people just started going to whatever school was available in their community. I was always wishing that I had known about this Common Schools Act, because most of the schools I attended, I was the only black in the school, and I would have demanded my own school. Wouldn't I have been the African queen? The act didn't come off the books until 1964. So few people were aware of this law having been passed. So when we had the first black MPP, Leonard Braithwaite in Toronto, that was his first duty, was to have this thing squashed. And so in 1964, it came off the books. In a place known as North Buxton, I'm not sure if you know, it's just south of Chatham. The group of people, there was a group of people who came up, and because it was a black community, many of the early people who came across from Detroit and what have you, then they settled themselves in North Buxton. And their school was so well run, the black school, that the white farmers sent their kids to the black school. So,
When we're talking about that school that you were just talking about,
mhm.
do you know if any of the records will survive? My great grandfather went to that school,
Is that right?
and I haven't been able to find any records from him. He came to Detroit.
You know, I'm not sure, but I can give you the address to, yeah, the address that you'd be able to get in touch with them to ask them, yeah. Because they've kept really good records.
I hope it'll be great to be able to.
Yeah, and one of the other things is Brian Prince has written a number of books for us, and so yeah, they'd be happy to look it up for you. Yeah. Well, that's nice. Nice to hear.
You said you were related to Smith?
Yeah. Charlie Smith.
Through Niagara on the Lake?
Yeah.
Does Isabel ring a bell?
No.
Okay, because I'm also related to them too.
Yeah. Yeah. What Smith? Yeah, I'm going to work on it. I plan to work on it. I'm going to invite you all to help me.
She married into the Ellicott around 1899.
Oh, I know Allagoods, yeah. Wow. Isn't that something?
Wilma, I'm not
It's
going to let
funny-
you.
It's funny you don't look Italian.
I'm not going to let you off the hook on being a Methodist and not messing around with other denominations. I'm a good Baptist and I mess around with the Anglicans in Niagara-on-the-Lake all the time. And we got a letter this
That's
week
where the records
looking for Fanny Miller.
Who?
Fanny Miller. Fanny Miller was a slave who was part of the dowry of she had this figured out. The wife of Peter Ball, forgotten her name, Elizabeth Showers. And Peter Ball gave her freedom, but she chose to work for Mrs. Ball. Okay. This lady's looking for her burial site. Now, old burial sites are difficult to locate exactly,
Mhm.
but I can assure her that she was buried by the rector of St. Mark's and probably in St. Mark's ground.
Yeah.
But I wondered how other ground, like Anglicans are good at keeping records of those kinds of things. The rest of us aren't. Which is why my question about the burial ground in Niagara-on-the-Lake, the records must exist somewhere.
We haven't been able to locate them. Yeah, it's been, that's the one thing that's been tricky. And the other thing is that, you know, we run out of people. And I've been promising myself that as soon as I get a minute, well, then I'm going to start to do some investigation. It doesn't seem to work. Yeah, I don't know. I guess maybe looking at the records in Hamilton, the Baptist records in Hamilton might give us some idea. I don't think they have any of the records even at Zion Baptist.
Yeah, Baptists are terrible about getting records into Hamilton. Does
You're
the
not
name
the
Fanny
only
Miller
one.
ring a bell with you at all?
But,
Does the name Fanny Miller ring a bell with you at all in Niagara-on-the-Lake?
well, the part of the name Miller, that's my maiden name. And it was a Miller who married that lady named Smith. You never know. But no, they married up around Burford way. Do you know where Burford
Yes,
is?
yes.
Yeah. Yeah. They lived up there and that's where
Okay.
they were married. Yeah. But people moved. I'm always amazed at the way people moved in the olden days. You know, we moan and groan and carry on about the highways and getting stuck on the road, stuff like that. These people were walking. Fanny Miller, I don't recognize the name Fanny, but could well be, you know.
Yeah.
And even it may be the two grandmothers that I was looking for as well. You never know. I don't know. Yeah, one of these days I'll smarten up and get time. Then I have to nod off and have a little nap, you know, in the meantime. anyway. That, I brought a couple of books along to show you what's taking place. As I say, we're all just going, we're going gaga over the number of books that have been printed over the past few years and how it's helped us with our putting our collection together. Now, if only we could continue on to have our Canadian history taught in the schools. That's my singular goal in life, is to have all of the people from all over the world who have helped to build this wonderful country. And it's going to be forgotten. I had a lady ask from Parliament Oak School. She's teaching there, and she asked about the statuary out front and the thing that's on the wall. And she said she had asked the principal, and the principal didn't know either. And I thought, isn't that sad? You're in this community with all of this history, and somebody should know about it. It's never going to be taught if teachers don't know about the history of the communities they serve. And that's my comment for the day, and I better shut up now. Oh, yeah.
To Morris, the black school, I don't think you're paying attention to me. He mentioned a black school. I wondered where in the area the black school was in St. Catharines.
Morris, we got a question from the floor for you.
Do you know where that black school was located? Was it in St. Catharines? Oh, wow. Okay. Okay, just wondered.
Our only information is that most of the schools were in the black churches, but then I don't know. The church, the Methodist church was built in 1855. I don't know when the Baptist church was built. It's been torn down now, of course. They meet in one of the old ministers' houses. But it was on Geneva Street, just in the next block from the VME church. Yeah. Okay. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. This book is about Richard Pierpoint, and you're seeing him on the historic moments, finally. Richard, am I running out of time?
No.
Uh,
Here, let me hold that for you.
Oh, okay.
I'll play with Anna.
Oh, okay. Richard was stolen away from Bandou area of Senegal when he was 16 years of age. So he, when the first slaves were brought to the northern states, that's before cotton became king. So Richard served time in I think Connecticut or someplace like that. Anyway, he was part of the Loyalist group that came in after the American Revolution. I was once described them as a paramilitary group, but I better not say that anymore because somebody will holler at me. But anyway, he came with the group of Loyalists that came and settled in this area. No, was it Butler's Rangers?
Oh.
Well, there's the guy that gave me half of my history, so I guess he should know. Thank you, dear. I missed you. You're going to have to give me your telephone number so I can call you and bother you. Oh yeah. Anyway, Richard came with this group, and then in 1812, when those guys over there decided that we would be happy to join them, he petitioned the government to put together a fighting unit, and it was known as the Colored Corps. And no, we don't talk about Runchi. He stole their money. We don't speak of Runchi. Well, he did too.
Am I gonna have to
It
separate
doesn't
you
go
too?
far. It doesn't go far. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree, you know. Anyway, okay, I love you.
Got another book?
Anyway, no, I wanted to talk
Oh.
about Richard Pierpoint
Oh,
because he put together this fighting unit and they fought with distinction in a number of the battles all along the Niagara River, even as far north as Toronto. But anyway, because you all think that, you know, there's not much happening in Africa. These people just running around half naked and killing each other and all that sort of stuff, even till today. But the other thing is that they couldn't find anything about, these two brothers decided about 10 years ago to write about Richard. They lived in Orangeville at the time. But anyway, what they did was they decided, because we investigated, we couldn't find that he had had any family here, married and had children, grandchildren, nothing. So anyway, they decided to investigate the area that he came from, this Bandu area in Senegal. And so with the investigation at that time, the government of the area was Muslim, and it was compulsory for all males to attend school at age 16. Now, Richard was born in 1740. So it was pretty early. It was before there was there would be school systems established in many parts of Canada, United States, or Britain. Certainly, the educational system in Britain was appalling at that time. I wasn't there, but somebody told me. That's what you were going to say, isn't it, Ron? Anyway. So much for Richard, okay? This is one of the books that was put together, and we were hoping that teachers would use it to teach the history of the system. Oro Township.
perfect guy's book. It's like full of pictures. Perfect, you know?
Yeah.
Very little reading.
Yeah. Oh.
It's a guy's book.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I'm not agreeing with that, but I.
that's all right.
No. And then many people, when they came, because people here weren't ready to have all these black people wandering around, many of them were sent into an area called the Queen's Bush, which is north of Guelph, to pretty well south of Owen Sound. So they received land grants, so therefore they were able to settle. There were stipulations and things like that. And then they wandered off everywhere. I don't know. My husband's people are from Collingwood. Good sized settlement in Owen Sound as well. Oh, this lady wrote about people in Queen's Bush. And then she up and died before we got a chance to thank her.
How dare she?
Yeah, lovely lady. Anyway, these are the books that were written about Niagara region with the help of my friend down the road here.
Slavery and Freedom in Niagara
Yeah,
and Niagara's Freedom Trail.
yeah. Those are the things that have been put together since we began to put our project together. And it's been wonderful. As they say, folks have been so good to us. Oh, those are the books. Someone who was asking about Norfolk and
Who was? Oh, Tyler was. She got a big goodie bag here. I'm looking for cookies. What you got there?
It's pamphlet talking about the sites in
The
Southern
underground,
Ontario.
Ontario's Underground Railroad.
Yeah.
And all the different sites listing them. Can you take a peek at this? There you go.
Yeah, and I wasn't too bright. I didn't bring the ones from the other end. But I can give you my phone number and I can send you the information of how to touch base with the young woman by the name of Prince. Her name. No, I didn't bring it. I'm not well, you know. Oh, heck, he could take this with him. There's an extra one here.
All right.
Yeah,
All right. We'll negotiate.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, $5.
5? 5? I'm a genealogist. I'm going to charge him at least 10, and you
Okay.
get 5.
Okay,
How's that for a deal?
okay. Has he got?
I don't know if he's got $10.
We plan to sell you this little thing here with information about the site, okay? Everybody witnessed, he said, sure. Yes, dear.
In the process of working on the construction of the present Welland Canal.
Mm-hmm.
And in order to make sure that we've got identified all the people who were victims of that construction, Marilyn and I have been going over all the death certificates for Lincoln and Welland counties from 1913 to 1933. And one of the interesting ones that I happened to read was of a black man who died. I think he was 102 or 103 years old, and he had been born a slave in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, isn't that fantastic that that there was someone almost, it may have been during my lifetime, I can't remember the date of his death, but who had actually lived in this area and had been born a slave.
Yeah, I've only met one person who was a slave, and she was brought over as a child, a small child, and so I was friends with her grandchildren. But yeah, it's and most people didn't talk about it, so therefore you couldn't get the stories. Would you wouldn't remember the man's name? Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's wonderful. I am just so pleased with the records and things that are being put aside now. It's great. So then stands to reason our kids may even learn about the history of Canada. Who knows? You know? Yeah, I was just talking to someone today about the man who put the province of British Columbia together. And I was saying that I thought it was only a province because it was stuck on the other side of the mountains. And it turns out that this man was the son of a slave in Guyana. And the father was a businessman from Scotland. Oh God, those Scottish people. But anyway,
Oh, easy here.
Didn't realize I was talking about your family. Anyway, their father, when the two boys had completed high school, he came and brought them back to Scotland to educate them. And when they had graduated university, then he brought them to Canada and deposited them on the shore. We don't know what happened to the one brother, but James was he was employed by the Hudson's Bay Company, and he went all through the north and ended up in BC, and later on went on to become part of the government and fought with the Americans over Vancouver Island and the Russians over I forget what that little peninsula is.
Alaska?
Is it Alaska?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't
But
know.
anyway,
Before my time.
yeah, mine too.
Oh,
No, yeah, it was. Anyway. So it was Sir James Douglas who was a champion of British Columbia. And I was pleased that nobody had ever told me that there were black people out there. Well, I knew there were black people in British Columbia, but the fact is that this isn't a part of history that's really well known, even when they're talking about British Columbia. Did you know that, Ron? No, I had nothing to do with it. Oh, okay. No, it wasn't 1812. Are you sure?
Well-
we've had such a good time, haven't we? Fred too. Fred, I always talk about Fred because he taught me to speak English. Didn't work.
we have one more question for you.
Oh, okay.
I was wondering if you've given any thought to DNA.
Yeah, I think about it, but does it cost $200?
We're talking about DNA, just for the people online, they didn't hear Mark, so. I'm
Oh.
not sure what the price is. Who's? 99 bucks is the standard for doing your DNA.
Oh,
Half price. We got a half price deal for you.
I could probably get a job and pay for that, sure. Yeah. Oh. Then I have to give them all that information for free at least.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
All right.
Aren't you guys tired of me running off? the
Well,
mouth
we're
here?
gonna
Goodness.
wrap it up
Yeah,
here,
Yeah.
and we want to thank you on behalf of the branch. We want to thank you very much for coming here tonight. Let's give you a round of applause.
Thank you for making it so easy.
You're
You know,
welcome.
you've made me feel very comfortable.
If at any time this branch, these members, the executive can support your cause, if you happen to find the records and they have to be digitized, whatever, it's just an email, it's a phone call, and we can be of support. Absolutely, because we believe in what you're trying to do.
Is Ron going to have anything to do with it?
But I don't know, we'll talk about Ron after, off camera. But I just wanted to sum something up that our cemetery coordinator put on his Facebook page the other day, and it really caught my attention. And it really goes along to what you were saying. It's just a little saying. It says, "Our dead are never dead to us until we have forgotten them."
How can you forget them?
No, you cannot. So thank you again, and we do appreciate it. And we'll leave the books up here, and people can take a peek at it, but
Sure.
just watch. Somebody
Yeah, I
may,
will. Yeah. There you go.
Perfect. So that's
Thanks
it.
for listening.
That's it, folks. Thank you. Thank you, those who were online. Oh, yeah, it's going to come in a minute. Okay. You can kill the streaming feed in just a second, please. Thank you for those who are online, and we invite those to come back again. So the streaming, you know how to stop it?